I used to think it was just a harmless choice, something small, something that wouldn't matter in the grand scheme of things. One evening, I agreed to have dinner with my boss, imagining it would be no more than a casual work engagement. I had no idea that this single decision would become the thread that slowly unraveled my marriage. And now, here I am, trying to piece together how everything fell apart, wondering how something that seemed so trivial could end up costing me everything. My husband, Ryan, was the kind of man people respected effortlessly. Steady, composed, and endlessly patient. He had this quiet confidence that made others feel safe around him. For years, I thought that calm strength was what made our bond so solid. He had unwavering trust in me. Never prying, never suspicious, never possessive. To me, that kind of love felt perfect. It gave me the freedom to just be myself, to breathe in the relationship without fear or judgment. At first, I cherished that about him. Who would want a partner who trusted them completely? But gradually, what once felt like unconditional faith began to resemble emotional distance. I started to feel like I was just another object in his life, like a fixture in the background that he assumed would always be there. No matter what I did, no matter how much I sought his attention or reassurance, Ryan's calm demeanor never changed. He didn't flinch when I came home late, nor did he blink when other men flirted with me in front of him. He'd simply laugh and brush it off, as if none of it meant anything. And that was the problem. I wanted to feel like I meant something. I wanted to know that I wasn't replaceable. I needed more than just trust. I needed proof that I still mattered deeply to him. That's when a restlessness began to grow inside me. It wasn't just dissatisfaction. It was a frustrating itch I couldn't ignore. I told myself it was harmless, that I just needed to do something to shake things up, to remind Ryan I wasn't invisible. My boss, Greg, had always been generous with compliments. He had a way of making me feel seen, special, appreciated. One day, after wrapping up a major project at work, he invited me to dinner to celebrate. It was just the two of us, no co-workers, no office politics, just a quiet meal. Deep down, I knew it wasn't just a professional outing. I could sense the line being crossed. But I buried that guilt, convincing myself it was strictly work-related. That same evening, Ryan had suggested we go out together. Instead of telling him the truth, I lied. I said I was going to a group dinner with colleagues. Even though I knew it wasn't true, I wanted to see how he'd react. If he'd object, show a flicker of jealousy, or even just question me. But he didn't. He kissed me on the cheek and told me to enjoy my evening, just like he always did. The calm I once admired now irritated me deeply. I felt a strange anger welling up inside. Anger I didn't quite understand. Was I really so unimportant to him? Just another piece of his routine? When I got home that night, everything appeared normal. Ryan was on the couch, calm as ever, asking casually how dinner went. But I sensed something different in the air, an invisible tension I couldn't explain. I avoided eye contact, the guilt quietly gnawing at me, but I smiled and told him it was fine. In the days that followed, I began noticing small shifts in him. He wasn't angry or confrontational, but he was pulling away. The small gestures that made our relationship feel intimate, the way he'd ask about my day or hold me gently before bed, those started fading. I could feel a distance forming, and no matter what I did to bridge it, it kept growing. Then one evening, he looked at me and asked, calmly but directly, "Did you have dinner alone with your boss?" His voice wasn't accusing. It was almost gentle, but there was something in his eyes that made it impossible for me to lie. I admitted it, though I tried to downplay it. I told him it was just a work dinner, nothing more. He didn't yell. He didn't argue. He simply nodded and said, "I see," then turned and walked away. That was the moment I knew I had broken something vital between us, something I couldn't repair. Over the following weeks, the silence between us grew louder. Ryan didn't lash out. He didn't demand explanations. He just kept withdrawing, retreating further into himself. I tried everything to get us back, planned thoughtful dinners, asked him about his day, even tried to be more affectionate, but nothing worked. It was like he had already decided to let go, and I was the only one still holding on. Eventually, after days of cold silence, I couldn't take it anymore. One night, with my heart breaking, I broke down and begged him to talk to me. I asked him how we could fix what was broken, how we might return to the way things used to be between us. His answer hit me like a blow to the chest. "I think this is the end," he said, his voice calm, certain, and unshakably firm. No anger, no shouting, just finality. I was stunned. I couldn't understand how he could let go so easily. I begged him not to give up, swore I would change, told him I hadn't meant to hurt him, that I never truly intended to make him jealous. But none of it seemed to matter. He told me it wasn't just about the dinner with Greg. It was a pattern, the erosion of trust, the slow fading of who we used to be. He said he often felt like I wasn't accepting him as he was, as if I needed him to become someone else, someone he couldn't be. And then he said something that shattered what was left of me. "I've spent so long trying to make you happy, but I just don't think I can anymore." The next morning, he packed his bags and walked out of our home. Just like that, my marriage ended. The silence left behind was deafening. Every corner of our house echoed with memories. Our laughter, our routines, the life we had built. And now, every reminder felt like punishment. I tried everything to reach him, calls, messages, desperate pleas for another chance, but he barely responded. When he did, his tone was cold but polite, the way you might speak to a stranger you once knew. He told me he needed distance, and no matter how much it hurt, I had to respect it. Days blurred into weeks. I found myself trapped in an endless loop of regret, replaying every decision that led me here. Sleep escaped me. Food lost its taste, and even simple tasks at work became impossible to focus on. To make things worse, Greg, the man I'd once seen as harmless, began to act differently. His flattery evolved into inappropriate advances. The attention I had once mistaken for validation now felt intrusive and degrading. I reported him to HR, but the fallout had already begun. The gossip in the office intensified, and the way my co-workers looked at me changed. Pity, judgment, disappointment. Professionally, my reputation was crumbling. Personally, I was unraveling. My family wasn't much more forgiving. Some voiced their disapproval outright, while others kept their distance, too uncomfortable to say what they were really thinking. My sister, blunt as ever, told me, "You always needed more. You were never satisfied." Her words sliced deeper than I thought possible. Even Ryan's parents, who had once welcomed me as their own, cut off contact completely. I had become a pariah, and the worst part was I understood why. In my attempt to make Ryan prove his love, to test his reactions, to provoke a spark, I lost sight of what I already had. I'd been blind to how deeply he cared because it didn't match the dramatic version of love I had built up in my head. And by the time I realized what I was doing, it was already too late. The pain slowly gave way to something harder to face. Acceptance. Ryan wasn't coming back. No apology, no promise, could undo the damage I'd caused. With time, I began to see the truth from his perspective. My constant search for reassurance had made him feel unwanted, like who he was wasn't enough for me. And that's exactly how I made him feel: insufficient. He had given me loyalty, love, and quiet stability. I'd mistaken that steadiness for apathy. I used to wish he would show passion in the form of jealousy or anger, but I never understood that his love was shown in far subtler ways. The way he always listened, the way he supported me without ever trying to control me, the way he trusted me unconditionally. Those were the things I should have held on to. Instead, I looked past him in search of something louder, something more cinematic. And in doing so, I destroyed the quiet beauty of what we had. Now, when I look back, I can hardly believe how blind I was. The gestures I used to dismiss as unimportant were his way of showing love, and I traded them for attention that turned out to be shallow and meaningless. I thought I was testing his devotion. In truth, I was pushing him to his breaking point. It's been several months since Ryan walked away. Though the sting hasn't completely faded, I've started to find a fragile sense of peace in the wreckage. The divorce is final now. It hurts, but it also brings a strange sense of closure, an official end to a chapter one once thought would last forever. I've spent endless nights tormenting myself with what-ifs, remembering every crossroad where I could have chosen differently. Regret still weighs on me, but I've learned that carrying it forever won't rewrite the past. All I can do now is move forward. I resigned from my job, stepped away from the toxic space that helped accelerate my downfall, and started the difficult journey of rebuilding. I'm learning to be alone again, to stand on my own without Ryan, without the life I thought we'd have. It's not easy. The silence in our house still echoes. The old photos still bring tears. But slowly, I'm beginning to redefine who I am and understand the kind of person I need to become if I ever hope to deserve that kind of love again.